The arrow struck the campfire's edge, scattering embers across the frozen ground, and Jonas Fletcher threw himself sideways, just as two more whistled through the space where his head had been. He scrambled behind a fallen log, his breath coming in ragged clouds, fingers numb around the hilt of his hunting knife. 3 days of running through winter wilderness had left him hollow with exhaustion, and now the bandits who had burned his family's homestead were closing in for the kill. He could hear them calling to each other through the trees, their voices rough with anticipation. 4 men, maybe 5. Too many. Jonas pressed his forehead against the frozen bark and tried to think. His father had taught him to hunt, to track, to survive in the borderlands, but nothing about facing down murderers alone at 23 with no weapons but a knife and failing courage. A branch snapped close by. Jonas tightened his grip on the knife and prepared to sell his life dearly. Then the screaming started. It was not human screaming. Deep roars that shook snow from the branches, followed by men shrieking in terror. The clash of metal, the wet sound of impact, more shouting cut short. Jonas stayed frozen behind his log, uncertain whether salvation or a worse death had found him. The sounds of violence ended abruptly. Heavy footsteps crunched through snow, coming toward him. "Human," a voice called. Female, deep, with an accent that turned the word into something between a question and a statement. "Come out, they are dead." Jonas did not move. Everyone knew about the orc clans in the northern mountains. Savage, brutal. Eaters of men, some said, though his father had always dismissed that as tavern talk. Still, every story agreed they were dangerous. "I can see your tracks. I can smell your blood. Come out or I leave you to freeze." He had little choice. Jonas stood slowly, keeping the log between himself and the voice. What he saw stole his breath. She stood nearly 7 feet tall, broad-shouldered and powerfully built beneath layers of fur and leather armor. Green skin marked with old scars caught the fading firelight. Small tusks curved up from her lower jaw, and her black hair was braided back from a face that was neither human nor monstrous, but something altogether different. Dark eyes studied him with an expression he could not read. "You are hurt," she said, nodding toward his side. Jonas looked down. His shirt was soaked with blood from a gash he had barely felt in his panic. The sight of it made his legs suddenly weak. Yes, bandits. They killed my family, burned our farm. I know. I have been tracking them for 2 days." She walked closer, and Jonas saw she carried a massive axe, its blade dark with fresh blood. "They raided an orc hunting camp last week, killed 3 of our young ones, took their ears as trophies." "I am sorry," Jonas said, because it seemed important to say. She looked at him with something that might have been surprise. "You apologize for human crimes, for any crimes. Murder is murder." The orc woman studied him for a long moment, then grunted. "You are bleeding badly. Your fire is scattered. You will die here tonight." "Probably," Jonas agreed. His vision was starting to blur at the edges. "I am Nara Proudtusk. I will help you live if you wish it." "Why?" The question came out barely a whisper. "Because those men deserve death and you do not. Because I am tired of killing. Because—" She paused, and something passed across her face too quickly for him to name. "Because the young ones they murdered were my sister's children. Vengeance is done. Now I am empty and far from home, and perhaps helping one person will fill that emptiness. Or perhaps I am a fool. Decide quickly, human." "You are bleeding on my boots." Jonas Fletcher, alone in the world with nothing but the clothes on his back and a mortal wound in his side, made the only choice he could. "My name is Jonas, and yes, please help me." Nara moved with startling efficiency. She rekindled his fire, fed it until warmth pushed back the winter dark, then turned her attention to Jonas with the same focused competence. She cut away his bloody shirt without ceremony, cleaned the wound with something from her pack that burned like liquid fire, then stitched it closed with neat, practiced movements. "You have done this before," Jonas gasped through clenched teeth. "I was a war leader for my clan. I have sewn many wounds, most of them orc flesh, but meat is meat, skin is skin." Her hands were surprisingly gentle despite their size. "This will scar, but you will live if fever does not take you. Thank you. Thank me when you wake up tomorrow." She wrapped his ribs with clean cloth, then pushed him toward the fire. "Sleep. I will watch." "You should sleep too," Jonas protested weakly. "Orcs need less sleep than humans, and I do not trust you not to die while I rest. Sleep, Jonas Fletcher. Tomorrow we talk about what comes next." He wanted to argue, to ask 100 questions, but exhaustion dragged him down into darkness before he could form another word. Jonas woke to gray dawn and the smell of cooking meat. His side throbbed with deep pain, but when he moved carefully, everything still worked. Nara sat across the fire, turning a rabbit on a spit, her dark eyes watching him. "You live," she said with what might have been satisfaction. "Seems so." Jonas sat up slowly, accepting the water skin she offered. "I thought I might have dreamed you. Many humans have nightmares about orcs. Few dream we save them." "Why did you, really?" Nara was quiet for a moment, staring into the fire. "Where I come from, refusing to help someone who needs it is the worst shame. Orcs value strength, yes, but also duty, also honor. You were alone, wounded, facing death. I had the power to change that, so I did." She looked up at him. "Do you wish I had not?" "No, I am grateful, more than I can say." "Then eat. You need strength. Then we must make a plan." They shared the rabbit in silence. Jonas had never been so close to an orc before, had certainly never shared a meal with one. He noticed things the stories never mentioned. The way she ate carefully, conscious of her tusks, the old scar that ran from her temple to her jaw, the leather bracelet on her wrist woven with small white beads. "The farm is gone?" he asked finally. "Yes, I passed it yesterday, burned to ash." Jonas closed his eyes against the grief that threatened to drown him. His parents, his younger brother, all gone, everything gone. "The nearest settlement is 4 days south," Nara continued quietly. "I can take you there if you wish, but I will not go into town. Humans shoot orcs on sight in these parts. Not all humans, enough of them." She poked at the fire with a stick. "Or you can come north with me. There is a cabin, 2 days' walk. I used it sometimes when I needed to be away from the clan, away from war leader duties. It is small but sound. You could stay there until you heal, then decide what to do." "Why would you offer that?" Nara's jaw tightened. "I am no longer welcome in my clan." "What? Why?" "Because I fulfilled my vengeance outside clan territory without permission. Because I chose to hunt those bandits rather than attend my sister's mourning rites. Because I told the elders they were cowards for not pursuing human murderers into human lands." Her voice was bitter. "They named me exile for 3 seasons, maybe forever, so the cabin is all I have. You are welcome to share it if you wish." Jonas looked at this proud, fierce woman who had saved his life and lost everything for a matter of principle. He thought about going back to human settlements alone, wounded, with nothing to his name. He thought about the fact that she had offered kindness when she owed him nothing. 2 days north," he said. "I can walk." Something that might have been relief crossed Nara's face. "Then we leave at midday. Rest until then, you will need your strength." The journey north tested Jonas more than he wanted to admit. His wound pulled with every step, his breath came short, and by the second afternoon he was stumbling. Nara never complained, never pushed him harder than he could go, but he felt ashamed of his weakness. "Stop," she commanded as he nearly fell for the 3rd time. "We rest. I can keep going. You are being stupid. Sit." He sat. Nara handed him the water skin and studied him with an expression somewhere between exasperation and concern. "You humans are stubborn in foolish ways. Pride does not heal wounds," says the orc who got herself exiled for pride. Nara blinked, then made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Fair, maybe we are both fools." She sat beside him on the fallen log. "The cabin is close. 2 more hours if you can manage." "I can manage." They reached it at dusk. The cabin was small, nestled in a clearing beside a half-frozen stream built of solid logs chinked with moss and clay. Simple, but well made. Nara pushed open the door and Jonas followed her inside. One room, a stone fireplace, a sleeping platform built against the far wall, shelves and hooks for storage. Cold now, but dry and whole. Nara moved around lighting candles, starting a fire, transforming the space from abandoned to lived in with practiced ease. "You built this?" Jonas asked. "Yes. 3 years ago, when I needed somewhere to think, somewhere to be Nara instead of war leader Proudtusk." She pulled blankets from a chest, piling them on the sleeping platform. "You take the bed, I will sleep by the fire." "That is not right. This is your home. And you are still healing from a bad wound. Do not argue. I am larger than you and I will win." Jonas was too exhausted to fight. He collapsed onto the platform and Nara covered him with blankets that smelled of cedar and smoke. Sleep took him almost instantly. The days that followed fell into a rhythm Jonas had not expected. Nara hunted and tended traps, bringing back rabbits, birds, once a small deer. Jonas, forbidden to stress his wound, took over the indoor work, tending the fire, preparing food, mending their clothes and gear. It was strange, domestic, oddly peaceful. They talked while they worked. Jonas told her about the farm, about his family, about his father's stories of the borderlands before the wars started. Nara spoke of orc culture, of the clan structure, of growing up knowing she would be a warrior. She told him about her sister, about the nephews she had failed to protect, and Jonas heard the grief beneath her stoic words. "You avenged them," he said quietly one evening. "That counts for something. Vengeance does not bring them back. It only fills the world with more death." "Then why do it?" "Because it was expected, because I was angry, because—" She paused, staring into the fire. "Because I did not know what else to do with this pain." Jonas understood that better than he wanted to. His own grief sat like a stone in his chest, heavy and cold. But here in this small cabin, with work to do and someone to talk to, it felt almost bearable. He noticed other things as the days passed. The way Nara hummed tunelessly while she worked. How she always checked his bandages with gentle hands despite her fearsome appearance. The careful way she moved around the small space, conscious of her size. The flash of vulnerability in her eyes when she thought he was not looking. She was beautiful, he realized one morning. Not in any human way, but beautiful nonetheless. Strong and scarred and real. The thought startled him so badly he nearly dropped the pot he was washing. "You are staring," Nara said without turning around. "Sorry, I was just thinking." "About what?" "How strange this is. A month ago I would have been terrified to be alone with an orc. Now I cannot imagine being alone without you." Nara went very still. "You should not say such things." "Why not? They are true." "Because there is no future in it. You are human, I am orc. When spring comes you will go back to your people and I will continue to exist. That is how it must be." "Does it?" Jonas stood, crossing to where she sat by the fire. "Who decided that?" "Everyone, all of history, all of both our peoples. This," she gestured between them, "this is impossible. You saved my life when it was impossible. You offered me shelter when you had nothing to gain. You have been kinder to me than most humans I have known. Where is the impossible in caring about you?" "Jonas, I am not asking for anything. I just wanted you to know you matter. To me you matter." Nara looked up at him, and Jonas saw surprise, fear, and something else he dared not name in her dark eyes. "You do not know what you are saying. I do. If anyone knew humans or orcs, they would kill us both. Then it is fortunate we are alone in the wilderness. This is madness, maybe. But I have lost everything else. What is a little more madness?" Nara stood abruptly, and for a moment Jonas thought she might be angry. Then she reached out very slowly and touched his face with one large, careful hand. "You are a strange human, Jonas Fletcher. You are a remarkable orc, Nara Proudtusk." She held his gaze for a long heartbeat, then dropped her hand and stepped back. "We should sleep. Tomorrow I need to check the northern traps." Jonas let her retreat, but something had changed between them, subtle and irrevocable as spring's first thaw. Winter deepened. Snow piled against the cabin walls and the stream froze solid. They were truly isolated now, cut off from both their peoples, alone in a small, warm space carved from the cold world. The closeness became harder to ignore. Jonas would catch himself watching Nara as she worked, admiring her strength, her competence, the rare times she smiled. He saw her watching him too when she thought he was not paying attention. The air between them felt charged, full of unspoken things. One evening, Jonas was struggling to reach a high shelf, his healing wound still limiting his reach. Nara came up behind him, reaching over easily to retrieve what he needed. For a moment, she was so close he could feel her warmth, smell the leather and smoke and winter forest scent of her. His breath caught. "Thank you," he managed. Nara did not move away. "Jonas, this thing between us, we cannot, I know. It would only bring pain. I know that too. Then why does it feel like the only true thing in my life right now?" Jonas turned slowly and they were face to face, barely a hand's breadth apart. "Because maybe it is. True, I mean." "I am afraid," Nara whispered. "I have fought wars. I have killed men. I have been wounded and exiled and lost everything I knew. But I have never been so afraid as I am of what I feel when I look at you." "What do you feel?" "Like I am home. Like all the violence and pain and anger that filled my life before is falling away, and all that is left is this. You, this small, impossible thing that can never work." Jonas reached up and took her hand, so much larger than his. "What if we stopped thinking about never and just thought about now? Right now, in this cabin, we are allowed to feel what we feel. Tomorrow can wait." Nara looked at their joined hands, then back at his face. "You would choose this?" "Knowing it is forbidden, knowing the danger, I would choose you. I am choosing you." She made a sound between a laugh and a sob, then pulled him close, careful of his healing wound, and held him like he was something precious. Jonas wrapped his arms around her as far as they would go and felt her shake with emotion held too long in check. "I do not know how to do this," Nara said against his hair. "How to be gentle, how to be anything but a warrior. You have been gentle since the moment you found me. You have been patient and kind and everything I needed. You are enough, Nara, more than enough." She pulled back to look at him, and Jonas saw tears tracking down her green skin. He reached up to wipe them away, and she caught his hand, pressing it to her cheek. "My people would disown me for this." "Mine too, but my people are dead and yours have already exiled you. We owe them nothing. We owe ourselves at least a chance at happiness." "Is that what this is? Happiness, I think it could be, if we are brave enough." Nara laughed, a real laugh this time, full and genuine. "You are calling an orc war leader a coward. I am suggesting we are both terrified and should be terrified together." She cupped his face in both hands, so gentle despite their strength. "Jonas Fletcher, you strange, kind, impossible man, I do not know what will come of this. Neither do I. But I want to find out." Nara leaned down slowly, giving him every chance to pull away. Jonas stood on his toes and met her halfway. Their first kiss was awkward, complicated by tusks and height differences and sheer nervousness, but it was also real and sweet and full of desperate hope. When they broke apart, both were shaking. "Well," Nara said a little breathlessly, "that was terrifying. I was going to say wonderful." Jonas grinned. "That too." They stood there in the firelight, holding each other, and let themselves have this one perfect moment before the world came crashing back in. The next weeks transformed the cabin from a shelter into a home. They fell into their relationship the way new lovers do, with a mixture of joy and fear and constant discovery. Nara taught Jonas to read tracks in the snow, to move silently through the forest. Jonas taught her card games his brother had loved, read to her from the single book she owned, made her laugh with terrible jokes. At night, they lay together on the sleeping platform, talking until the fire burned low. Nara spoke of her dreams before exile, of becoming a clan elder, of building peace with human settlements, of finding a mate among her own kind and raising strong children. Jonas described his plans for the farm, the improvements he had wanted to make, the life he had imagined. "All those futures are gone now," Jonas said one night. "Everything we planned, everything we expected." "Perhaps," Nara said thoughtfully, "or perhaps we are building a different future, one we never imagined." "What kind of future could we have? We cannot go to human towns. We cannot go to your clan. Then we stay here. We build our life in this place, grow vegetables in summer, hunt and preserve meat for winter, exist in the space between our peoples." "That sounds lonely. We would have each other." Jonas rolled over to look at her. "Is that enough for you? To give up your whole world for me?" Nara touched his face gently. "My world gave up on me first, and yes, you are enough. You are more than I ever hoped to find." "I love you," Jonas said, the words spilling out before he could stop them. "I know it is fast and strange and probably foolish, but I do. I love you, Nara." She closed her eyes, and when she opened them again, they shone with emotion. "I love you too. I did not want to. I tried not to, but my heart did not listen to my sense." They held each other in the darkness, and Jonas felt something settle in his chest. This was real. This was happening. Against all reason and all the world's expectations, they had found each other and they were choosing each other. It would have to be enough. Spring came slowly to the mountains. The first thaw turned the stream into a rushing torrent. Snow retreated to reveal muddy ground and the first brave shoots of green. The world was waking up, and with it came the knowledge that their isolation would not last forever. "Traders will start using the mountain pass soon," Nara said one morning. "Hunters too. We need to decide what to do." Jonas had been thinking about this for weeks. "I want to stay here with you if you will have me. We can build a real life here, plant crops, maybe raise a few chickens. Live quietly. People will come. Eventually someone will find us. Then we deal with it together." Nara was quiet for a long moment. "There is something I need to tell you about orc custom, about binding. It is what we call a permanent union between two people. A promise witnessed by the clan, blessed by the elders. What humans call marriage, I think." Jonas's heart began to race. "What about it?" "Orcs can bind with anyone who accepts them. Human, orc, it does not matter to our gods, only that the promise is real." She looked at him with an expression he could not quite read. "I know we cannot have a clan. We cannot have elders to witness or bless anything. But I wanted you to know that in my heart, in every way that matters to me, you are my chosen one, my binding mate, even if no one ever recognizes it." "Nara, you do not have to say anything. I only wanted you to know." "Stop talking," Jonas said, laughing and crying at the same time. "I am trying to tell you yes. Yes, in any way you want. By orc custom or human custom or whatever crazy custom we make up ourselves. Yes." Nara pulled him into her arms, lifting him clear off the ground. You are certain once bound, orcs do not break faith, it is forever. Forever sounds perfect. There is a ceremony, small but important. Will you let me perform it? Of course. That evening, Nara led him into the forest. She had been gone all afternoon, and when she brought him to a small clearing beside the stream, Jonas saw what she had created. A circle of stones, a fire burning in the center, early wildflowers scattered on the ground. Simple but beautiful. In orc tradition, binding happens at dusk between day and night, a symbol of two becoming one, balancing light and dark. Nara's voice was formal, but her hands shook as she took his. We have no clan to witness, but the forest witnesses, the stream witnesses, the sky witnesses. That is enough. She pulled a knife from her belt and before Jonas could react, drew it across her palm. Blood welled up, dark in the firelight. Wait, Jonas said. Let me. He took the knife and cut his own palm, hissing at the sting. Nara pressed their hands together, blood mingling between them. I am Nara Proudtusk, she said clearly. Cast out from my clan, but not from honor. I choose you, Jonas Fletcher. I bind my life to yours. I will stand with you in joy and hardship, in plenty and want, until death parts us. This I swear by blood and fire and all that I am. Jonas found his voice, though it trembled. I am Jonas Fletcher, alone in the world except for you. I choose you, Nara Proudtusk. I bind my life to yours. I will stand with you in whatever comes in this world and whatever lies beyond. This I swear by everything I have and everything I am. Nara reached into her pocket and pulled out 2 rings made of woven grass, studded with tiny white beads. These are not much, but they are made with love. Will you wear my promise, always? She slipped one onto his finger and he did the same for her. Then she leaned down and kissed him, soft and deep and full of promise. When they broke apart, the sun had set completely and the first stars were appearing overhead. It is done, Nara whispered. We are bound. Husband and wife in any language. Yes. They stood in their small ceremony circle, alone in the vast wilderness, and Jonas felt utterly, completely whole for the first time since the bandits had destroyed his old life. This was his new life. Strange, impossible, perfect. Take me home, he asked. Nara laughed and scooped him into her arms, carrying him back toward the cabin. As my husband commands. I am never going to get used to that, to being carried, to being this happy. She held him tighter. Get used to it, we have a lifetime ahead. Summer transformed the mountain clearing. Jonas planted a garden behind the cabin, beans and squash and hardy mountain vegetables. Nara built a chicken coop, and they traded furs to a nervous traveling merchant for 6 hens and a rooster. Life became beautifully, peacefully mundane. But the world has a way of intruding on peace. Late one summer afternoon, Jonas was weeding the garden when he heard voices on the path. Human voices, rough and loud. He straightened slowly, reaching for the hatchet he kept nearby. 3 men emerged from the tree line, armed and travel-worn. Well, well, the largest one said. A human settlement way up here, did not expect that. Just passing through, Jonas said carefully. No trouble wanted, none offered. We are just hunters looking for a place to camp, that stream nearby. Yes, just past those trees. The man's eyes traveled over the cabin, the garden, lingering on details. You alone here? Yes, Jonas lied smoothly. Wife died last winter, staying on out of stubbornness mostly. Shame about your wife. But the man did not sound sympathetic. He sounded suspicious. Say, you have not seen any orcs around here, have you? Been tracking one for days. Big female, travels alone. She killed some men we knew and we aim to collect the bounty. Jonas's blood ran cold. No orcs. They keep to the high peaks mostly. Funny thing, though. Those look like mighty big boot prints by your door, bigger than any human I know. The other two men spread out, hands on their weapons. Jonas gripped the hatchet tighter. "I think you should move along. I think you are hiding something or someone." The leader grinned nastily. "Boys, search the cabin." "Like hell you will," Jonas started, but one of the men was already moving past him. Then the cabin door flew open and Nara stood there, axe in hand, eyes blazing. "You want to search my home," she growled. "Come and try." The three men fell back, shocked. The leader recovered first, a vicious smile spreading across his face. "There she is, the orc who murdered good men. There is gold on your head, monster." "Those men murdered children," Nara said flatly. "I gave them the justice they deserved. You will hang for it, both of you." "A human living with an orc, that is against nature, against the law." "There is no law out here," Jonas said, moving to stand beside Nara. "Only survival, and you are outnumbered," the leader laughed. "One crippled farmer and one exiled orc. I like our odds." What happened next was fast and brutal. The men rushed forward. Nara met them with her axe, moving with terrifying speed and precision. Jonas swung his hatchet at the nearest man, connected with a meaty thud. Chaos erupted in the clearing. The fight was vicious but short. Nara had fought wars, these men had not. Within minutes, two were down and the third was running for the trees, bleeding and screaming. Nara let him go. "He will bring others," she said grimly. "We cannot stay here." Jonas looked at the bodies, the blood on the ground, the garden he had tended so carefully. "Where do we go?" "Deeper into the mountains. There are places even orcs do not travel, dangerous but hidden. We can survive there." Together, Nara took his face in her hands. "Always together." "That was our vow." They spent that night gathering everything they could carry, packing food and tools and supplies. By dawn, they were ready to leave. Jonas took one last look at the cabin that had been their home, their sanctuary, the place where they had found each other. "I am sorry," Nara said softly. "This is my fault, my past catching up. No, this is the world being small and cruel, but we are bigger than that. We will survive this too." They walked into the deep mountains hand in hand, leaving their past behind and heading toward an uncertain future. But Jonas found he was not afraid, not with Nara beside him. The deep mountains were harsh and beautiful in equal measure. They traveled for weeks, moving ever higher until they found a hidden valley ringed by peaks so steep no one would follow. A waterfall fed a clear pool. Game was plentiful. It was wilder than their cabin, more remote, more difficult. But it was safe. They built a new shelter, smaller and cruder than before, but functional. They fell back into their rhythms, hunting, gathering, surviving, loving. Autumn came early this high up, painting the valley in gold and red. One evening, as the first frost touched the grass, Nara and Jonas sat by their fire, wrapped in furs against the cold. Jonas was mending a fishing net, Nara was sharpening her knife. Peaceful, domestic, perfect in its simplicity. "You regret it?" Jonas asked suddenly. "Giving up everything for this?" "For me?" Nara looked at him, and in the firelight her eyes were soft. "I gave up a world that had no place for me. I found a world that does. How could I regret that? We are alone. Truly alone now. No one even knows we exist. We know we exist." Is that not enough? Jonas thought about it. Thought about his old life, his old dreams, the future he had imagined that looked nothing like this. Then he looked at his wife, fierce and gentle and holy herself, and knew the answer. Yes, it is enough. It is everything. Nara set aside her knife and moved to sit beside him. "I have something to tell you. I have been waiting for the right moment, but there may never be a perfect time." "What is it?" "Orc women do not conceive easily with humans. It is rare, almost unheard of, but not impossible." She took his hand and placed it on her stomach. "I am with child, our child." Jonas froze, his mind struggling to process the words. "You are, we are." "Yes, In the spring we will be 3 instead of 2. Are you happy or frightened? Both, Jonas said honestly. Then he laughed, a sound of pure joy. Both, mostly happy. Nara, this is incredible. It is dangerous too, half human, half orc children. They are not accepted by either people. Our child will be as alone in the world as we are. Then we will teach them that family is not about blood or species. It is about love and choice and standing together. We will teach them to be strong and kind like their mother. We will give them everything we have. Nara's eyes filled with tears. You are going to be a wonderful father. You are going to be an amazing mother. Though I pity anyone who threatens your child, you are terrifying enough now. She laughed through her tears and pulled him close. They sat there as the fire burned low and the stars wheeled overhead, planning for a future they were building one day at a time. Winter came hard and fast to the high valley. Snow piled deep, and they spent long days huddled in their shelter, keeping the fire fed, rationing their supplies, waiting for spring. Nara's belly grew slowly, and Jonas found himself constantly worried about her, about the baby, about 1,000 things he had never considered before. But Nara was strong. She hunted when she could, worked when she needed to, and laughed at Jonas's fretting. Orc women bear children while on campaign. I am fine. Orc women are terrifying, Jonas muttered, which only made her laugh harder. In the darkest part of winter, when food ran low and the cold seemed endless, Jonas woke one night to find Nara sitting by the fire, one hand on her swollen stomach, staring into the flames. "Cannot sleep?" he asked, joining her. "The baby is restless, kicking." "I think they are eager to meet the world." Jonas placed his hand beside hers, felt the flutter of movement beneath. Wonder and terror crashed over him in equal measure. They are real. This is really happening. Are you still happy about it? Truly? Terrified, but yes, so happy. Nara, we made this. Out of love and stubbornness and sheer impossible chance. Whatever happens, that is a miracle. Even if our child is rejected by everyone, then they will have us, and we will love them enough to make up for a whole world. Just like you loved me enough to change my world completely. Nara turned to him, and by firelight he saw the vulnerability she usually kept hidden. "I need to tell you something, something important." "What is it? If the birth goes badly, if I do not survive, you must promise me something." "Nara, promise me you will raise our child to know both halves of their heritage. Tell them about orc honor and human kindness. Tell them their mother loved them more than anything. Promise me they will not grow up ashamed of what they are." "You are going to survive," Jonas said fiercely. "You are the strongest person I have ever known. You are going to live, and we are going to raise this child together, and they are going to know every day how much both their parents love them. That is what is going to happen. You cannot know that. I know you. I know us. We have survived everything so far. We will survive this too." Nara leaned against him, and he held her close, feeling the baby move between them. "I am afraid," she whispered. "Me too. But we are afraid together. That is our strength. I love you, Jonas Fletcher. I love you, Nara Proudtusk. Now and always." They sat by the fire until dawn, holding each other against the cold and the fear and everything unknown, drawing strength from their bond. Spring came finally, melting snow and filling the valley with new growth. Nara grew larger and slower, and Jonas prepared everything he could think of for the birth. He boiled cloths, gathered soft moss, checked and rechecked their supplies. Nara watched his frantic preparations with amusement. "You would think you are the one giving birth," she teased. "I wish I could. Then I would not have to watch you suffer." "Orc women do not suffer. We triumph." But her smile was gentle, appreciative of his concern. The baby came on a warm spring night under a sky full of stars. The birth was long and hard, and Jonas held Nara's hand through all of it, wiping her forehead, giving her water, feeling utterly helpless. But Nara was strong, just as he knew she would be, and when dawn broke, a new cry filled the valley. Jonas looked down at the tiny child in his arms, and his heart stopped. Green skin, delicate tusks barely visible, pointed ears but human eyes and human nose. Perfect, beautiful. Theirs. A daughter, he said, his voice breaking. Nara, we have a daughter. Nara reached up weakly, and Jonas placed the baby in her arms. She looked down at their child with an expression of such fierce love it took his breath away. She is perfect. What should we name her? Nina, Nara said without hesitation. It means strong one in the old orc tongue. Nina Fletcher Proudtusk, daughter of two worlds belonging to both and neither. Hello, Nina, Jonas whispered, touching her tiny green hand. Welcome to your strange, impossible, wonderful family. The baby grasped his finger with surprising strength, and Jonas felt his whole world shift and expand to encompass this new life. They were not just two anymore. They were a family. The weeks after Nina's birth were exhausting and joyful in equal measure. She was a good baby, strong and healthy, growing quickly. Jonas spent hours just watching her, marveling at every change, every new expression. Nara was a patient, fierce mother, protective but not smothering. One afternoon, Jonas was walking Nina around the valley, letting Nara rest. The baby was awake and looking around with curious eyes. Jonas found himself talking to her, telling her about everything. This is the waterfall, Nina. Your mother taught me to fish here, and those are pine trees. They smell wonderful. And that big, scary woman watching us from the shelter. That is your mother. She loves you more than anything in the world. So do I. We are going to teach you everything. How to hunt and plant and survive. How to be kind but strong. How to make your own path in a world that might not understand you. But mostly, we are going to teach you that you are loved, always, completely, without condition. You are talking to the baby again, Nara called, amused. She likes my voice. She is 3 weeks old. She likes sleeping and milk. And my voice, clearly. Nara walked over, smiling, and wrapped her arms around both of them. You are a good father, Jonas Fletcher. You are a wonderful mother, Nara Proudtusk. We are doing well, I think, this strange life of ours. Jonas looked around their hidden valley at the shelter they had built, the life they had carved from nothing. Better than well. We are thriving. Against all odds, against everyone's expectations, we made this. We are making this every day. Do you think she will be happy? Nina, I mean. Growing up so isolated, I think she will be loved, and strong, and brave, like her mother. That is the best gift we can give her. Nara kissed the top of his head, then Nina's. Then we will give her that, and whatever else we can manage. They stood there, the three of them, as the sun set over their secret valley and painted the sky in gold and rose. It was not the life Jonas had imagined. It was not the life Nara had expected. But it was theirs, built from love and choice and stubborn determination. And that made it perfect. Summer turned the valley into a paradise. Nina grew stronger, more alert, beginning to smile and grasp at things. Jonas and Nara worked together seamlessly now, partners in every sense. They were content in their isolation, happy in their small family. One warm evening, they sat by the fire after Nina had fallen asleep. Jonas was mending clothes, Nara was working on a new bow, peaceful, complete. You ever wonder what would have happened if I had not found you that night? Nara asked suddenly. I would have died, frozen or bled out. And I would have completed my vengeance and returned to my clan, lived as an exile, angry and alone. Instead, you saved a stranger and ended up with a husband and a baby in a hidden valley. Strange how life works. Nara smiled. Strange, but good. Jonas, I need you to understand something. That night by the dying fire when I found you wounded and desperate, I almost walked away. I almost left you there. Why did you not? Because I saw something in your eyes. Not fear, though you should have been afraid. Resignation, yes, but also kindness. Even facing death, you apologized for what humans had done to my family. That struck me deeper than any weapon ever had. I thought, if there is even one human with that kind of heart, perhaps the world is not as dark as I believed. Perhaps there is still something worth saving. Jonas set down his mending. And now I know I was right. You saved me, Jonas, as much as I saved you. You gave me a reason to be more than a warrior, more than my anger and grief. You gave me love and hope and a future I never dreamed possible. That night by the dying fire when I leaned close and asked if you wanted my help, you could have refused. You could have died rather than accept aid from an orc. But you said yes, and that yes changed everything. Jonas moved to sit beside her. I remember that moment. You asked if I wanted to live, and I looked at you and thought, this creature who should be my enemy is offering me life. How could I refuse? You were the first kind thing I had encountered since watching my world burn. I would have been a fool to turn you away. We were both fools, and both wise. We took a chance on something impossible. And it became possible, it became real, it became this. Jonas gestured at their shelter, at Nina sleeping peacefully, worth every risk, every hardship, every moment of fear. Nara took his hand, and they sat in comfortable silence, listening to the night sounds of their valley, to their daughter's soft breathing, to the fire crackling. Two people from different worlds who had built a world all their own. Jonas, Nara said after a while, her voice soft and serious. If something happens to me, if the world finds us and takes me away, promise me you will tell Nina the truth, all of it, the good and the bad. Tell her that love is worth fighting for, even when the whole world says it is impossible. Nothing is going to happen to you, but yes, I promise. Though I hope we will both be telling her stories until she is sick of hearing them. That is my hope too. They sat together as stars filled the sky, and Jonas thought about that night so many months ago when Nara had found him dying by a scattered fire. How she had leaned close and offered him a choice: die here alone or accept help from an unexpected source. He had said yes to life, to hope, to the impossible. And that single choice had led him here, to this moment, to this perfect, complicated, beautiful life. Thank you, he said quietly. For what? For saving me, for loving me, for Nina, for all of it. Nara pulled him close. Thank you for saying yes. Thank you for being brave enough to love an orc. Thank you for our daughter and this life and every moment we have built together. You are my heart, Jonas Fletcher. You and Nina. My whole heart. And you are mine, now and forever. They held each other under the stars, parents and partners and survivors, bound by vows spoken in firelight and promises kept through hardship. The world beyond their valley might never understand them. But here, in this hidden place, they had created something rare and precious. A family built on love that transcended every boundary, every prejudice, every expectation. Nina stirred in her sleep and made a small sound. Both parents turned immediately, checking on her with the instinctive coordination of people who had learned to work as one. She settled again, peaceful and safe. She is going to be extraordinary, Jonas said. She already is, daughter of two worlds, bridge between peoples who hate each other. Living proof that love is stronger than fear. No pressure on the child then. Nara laughed softly. She will make her own path. We will just make sure she knows she is loved while she does it. That seems like a good plan. The only plan worth having. They returned to their evening tasks, working in the comfortable silence of people who knew each other completely. The fire burned low. The stars wheeled overhead. And in their hidden valley, far from the judgments and conflicts of the wider world. A human man, an orc woman, and their half-breed daughter slept peacefully, bound by love that had survived everything fate had thrown at them. Jonas's last thought before sleep took him was simple. By that dying fire, when Nara leaned close and whispered her offer of help, she had given him more than his life. She had given him a future worth living, and every day since, he had tried to give her the same gift in return. It was enough. It was everything. It was home.